Chapter 14. And the Lord said to Moses, This is the law of the leper. On the day when he is made clean, he is to be taken to the priest, and the priest is to go outside the tent circle, and if, after looking, the priest sees that the mark of the disease has gone from him, then the priest is to give orders to take, for him who is to be made clean, 2 living clean birds and some cedar wood and red thread and hyssop. And the priest will give orders for one of the birds to be put to death in a vessel made of earth, overflowing water. And he will take the living bird and the wood and the red thread and the hyssop and put them in the blood of the bird which was put to death, overflowing water. And shaking it 7 times over the man who is to be made clean, he will say that he is clean, and will let the living bird go free into the open country. And he who is to be made clean will have his clothing washed and his hair cut and have a bath, and he will be clean. And after that he will come back to the tent circle, but he is to keep outside his tent for 7 days. And on the 7th day he is to have all the hair cut off his head and his chin and over his eyes, all his hair is to be cut off, and he will have his clothing washed and his body bathed in water, and he will be clean. And on the 8th day let him take 2 male lambs, without any marks on them, and 1 female lamb of the first year, without a mark, and 3/10 parts of an ephah of the best meal, mixed with oil, and 1 log of oil. And the priest who is making him clean will put the man who is being made clean, together with these things, before the door of the tent of meeting. And the priest is to take 1 of the male lambs and give it as an offering for wrongdoing, and a log of oil, waving them for a wave offering before the Lord. And he is to put the male lamb to death in the place where they put to death the sin offering and the burnt offering, in the holy place. For as the sin offering is the property of the priest, so is the offering for wrongdoing. It is most holy. And let the priest take some of the blood of the offering for wrongdoing and put it on the point of the right ear of him who is to be made clean, and on the thumb of his right hand and on the great toe of his right foot, and take some of the oil and put it in the hollow of his left hand, and let the priest put his right finger in the oil which is in his left hand, shaking it out with his finger 7 times before the Lord. And of the rest of the oil which is in his hand, the priest will put some on the point of the right ear of the man who is to be made clean, and on the thumb of his right hand and on the great toe of his right foot, over the blood of the offering for wrongdoing. And the rest of the oil in the priest's hand he will put on the head of him who is to be made clean, and so the priest will make him free from sin before the Lord. And the priest will give the sin offering, and take away the sin of him who is to be made clean from his unclean condition, and after that he will put the burnt offering to death. And the priest is to have the burnt offering and the meal offering burned on the altar, and the priest will take away his sin, and he will be clean. And if he is poor and not able to get so much, then he may take 1 male lamb as an offering for wrongdoing, to be waved to take away his sin, and 1/10 part of an ephah of the best meal mixed with oil for a meal offering, and a log of oil, and 2 doves or 2 young pigeons, such as he is able to get, and 1 will be for a sin offering and the other for a burnt offering. And on the 8th day he will take them to the priest, to the door of the tent of meeting before the Lord, so that he may be made clean. And the priest will take the lamb of the offering for wrongdoing and the oil, waving them for a wave offering before the Lord, and he will put to death the lamb of the offering for wrongdoing. And the priest will take some of the blood of the offering for wrongdoing and put it on the point of the right ear of him who is to be made clean, and on the thumb of his right hand and on the great toe of his right foot. And the priest will put out some of the oil in the hollow of his left hand, shaking out drops of oil with his right finger before the Lord 7 times, and the priest will put some of the oil which is in his hand on the point of the ear of the man who is to be made clean, and on the thumb of his right hand and on the great toe of his right foot, on the place where the blood of the offering for wrongdoing was put. And the rest of the oil which is in the priest's hand he will put on the head of him who is to be made clean, to take away his sin before the Lord. And he will make an offering of 1 of the doves or the young pigeons, such as he is able to get, and of these he will give 1 for a sin offering and 1 for a burnt offering, with a meal offering. And the priest will take away the sin of him who is to be made clean before the Lord. This is the law for the man who has the disease of the leper on him, and who is not able to get that which is necessary for making himself clean. And the Lord said to Moses and Aaron, When you have come into the land of Canaan which I will give you for your heritage, if I put the leper's disease on a house in the land of your heritage, then let the owner of the house come and say to the priest, it seems to me that there is a sort of leper's disease in the house. And the priest will give orders for everything to be taken out of the house, before he goes in to see the disease, so that the things in the house may not become unclean. And then the priest is to go in to see the house, and if he sees that the walls of the house are marked with hollows of green and red, and if it seems to go deeper than the face of the wall, then the priest will go out of the door of the house, and keep the house shut up for 7 days, and the priest is to come again on the 7th day and have a look and see if the marks on the walls of the house are increased in size. Then the priest will give orders to them to take out the stones in which the disease is seen, and put them out into an unclean place outside the town, and he will have the house rubbed all over inside, and the paste which is rubbed off will be put out into an unclean place outside the town, and they will take other stones and put them in place of those stones. And he will take other paste and put it on the walls of the house. And if the disease comes out again in the house after he has taken out the stones and after the walls have been rubbed and the new paste put on, then the priest will come and see it, and if the disease in the house is increased in size, it is the leper's disease working out in the house, it is unclean, and the house will have to be pulled down, the stones of it and the wood and the paste, and everything is to be taken out to an unclean place outside the town. And, in addition, anyone who goes into the house at any time, while it is shut up, will be unclean till evening. And anyone who has been sleeping in the house will have to have his clothing washed, and anyone who takes food in that house will have to have his clothing washed. And if the priest comes in, and sees that the disease is not increased after the new paste has been put on the house, then the priest will say that the house is clean, because the disease is gone. And in order to make the house clean, let him take 2 birds and cedar wood and red thread and hyssop, and put one of the birds to death in a vessel of earth overflowing water, and take the cedar wood and the hyssop and the red thread and the living bird and put them in the blood of the dead bird and in the flowing water, shaking it over the house 7 times, and he will make the house clean with the blood of the bird and the flowing water and with the living bird and with the cedar wood and the hyssop and the red thread. But he will let the living bird go out of the town into the open country. So he will take away sin from the house and it will be clean. This is the law for all signs of the leper's disease and for skin diseases, and for signs of disease in clothing, or in a house, and for a growth or a bad place or a bright mark on the skin, to make clear when it is unclean and when it is clean. This is the law about the disease of the leper. Chapter 15. And the Lord said to Moses and to Aaron, Say to the children of Israel, if a man has an unclean flow from his flesh, it will make him unclean. If the flow goes on or if the part is stopped up, to keep back the flow, he is still unclean. Every bed on which he has been resting will be unclean, and everything on which he has been seated will be unclean. And anyone touching his bed is to have his clothing washed and his body bathed in water and be unclean till evening. And he who has been seated on anything on which the unclean man has been seated is to have his clothing washed and his body bathed in water and be unclean till evening. And anyone touching the flesh of the unclean man is to have his clothing washed and his body bathed in water and be unclean till evening. And if liquid from the mouth of the unclean man comes onto him who is clean, then he is to have his clothing washed and his body bathed in water and be unclean till evening. And any leather seat on a horse on which the unclean man has been seated will be unclean. And anyone touching anything which was under him will be unclean till the evening. Anyone taking up any of these things is to have his clothing washed and his body bathed in water and be unclean till evening. And anyone on whom the unclean man puts his hands, without washing them in water, is to have his clothing washed and his body bathed in water and be unclean till evening. And any vessel of earth which has been touched by the unclean man will have to be broken, and any vessel of wood washed. And when a man who has a flow from his body is made clean from it, He is to take 7 days to make himself clean, washing his clothing and bathing his body in flowing water, and then he will be clean. And on the 8th day he is to take 2 doves or 2 young pigeons and come before the Lord to the door of the tent of meeting and give them to the priest, and they are to be offered by the priest, one for a sin offering and one for a burnt offering, and the priest will take away his sin before the Lord on account of his flow. And if a man's seed goes out from him, then all his body will have to be bathed in water and he will be unclean till evening. And any clothing or skin on which the seed comes is to be washed with water and be unclean till evening. And if a man has sex relations with a woman and his seed goes out from him, the 2 of them will have to be bathed in water and will be unclean till evening. And if a woman has a flow of blood from her body, she will have to be kept separate for 7 days, and anyone touching her will be unclean till evening. And everything on which she has been resting, while she is kept separate, will be unclean, and everything on which she has been seated will be unclean. And anyone touching her bed will have to have his clothing washed and his body bathed in water and be unclean till evening. And anyone touching anything on which she has been seated will have to have his clothing washed and his body bathed in water and be unclean till evening. Anyone touching anything on the bed or on the thing on which she has been seated, will be unclean till evening. And if any man has sex relations with her so that her blood comes on him, he will be unclean for 7 days, and every bed on which he has been resting will be unclean. And if a woman has a flow of blood for a long time, not at the time when she generally has it, or if the flow goes on longer than the normal time, she will be unclean while the flow of blood goes on, as she is at other normal times. Every bed on which she has been resting will be unclean, as at the times when she normally has a flow of blood, and everything on which she has been seated will be unclean, in the same way. And anyone touching these things will be unclean, and his clothing will have to be washed and his body bathed in water, and he will be unclean till evening. But when her flow of blood is stopped, after 7 days she will be clean. And on the 8th day let her get 2 doves or 2 young pigeons and take them to the priest to the door of the tent of meeting, to be offered by the priest, one for a sin offering and one for a burnt offering, and the priest will take away her sin before the Lord on account of her unclean condition. In this way may the children of Israel be made free from all sorts of unclean conditions, so that death may not overtake them when they are unclean and when they make unclean my holy place which is among them. This is the law for the man who has a flow from his body, or whose seed goes from him so that he is unclean, and for her who has a flow of blood, and for any man or woman who has an unclean flow, and for him who has sex relations with a woman when she is unclean. Chapter 16. And the Lord said to Moses, after the death of the 2 sons of Aaron when they took in strange fire before the Lord and death overtook them, the Lord said to Moses, say to Aaron, your brother, that he may not come at all times into the holy place inside the veil, before the cover which is on the ark, for fear that death may overtake him, for I will be seen in the cloud on the cover of the ark. Let Aaron come into the holy place in this way, with an ox for a sin offering and a male sheep for a burnt offering. Let him put on the holy linen coat, and the linen trousers on his body, and the linen band round him, and the linen headdress on his head, for this is holy clothing, and before he puts them on his body is to be washed with water. And let him take from the children of Israel 2 he-goats for a sin offering and 1 male sheep for a burnt offering. And Aaron is to give the ox of the sin offering for himself, to make himself and his house free from sin. And he is to take the 2 goats and put them before the Lord at the door of the tent of meeting. And Aaron will make selection from the 2 goats by the decision of the Lord, 1 goat for the Lord and 1 for Azazel. And the goat which is marked out for the Lord, let Aaron give for a sin offering. But the goat for Azazel is to be placed living before the Lord, for the taking away of sin, that it may be sent away for Azazel into the wasteland. And Aaron is to give the ox of the sin offering for himself and take away sin from himself and his house, and put to death the ox of the sin offering which is for himself. And he is to take a vessel full of burning coal from the altar before the Lord, and in his hand some sweet perfume crushed small, and take it inside the veil, and let him put the perfume on the fire before the Lord, so that the ark may be covered with a cloud of the smoke of the perfume, in order that death may not overtake him. And let him take some of the blood of the ox, shaking drops of it from his finger on the cover of the ark on the east side, and before it, 7 times. Then let him put to death the goat of the sin offering for the people, and take its blood inside the veil, and do with it as he did with the blood of the ox, shaking drops of it on and before the cover of the ark. And let him make the holy place free from whatever is unclean among the children of Israel, and from their wrongdoing in all their sins. And let him do the same for the tent of meeting, which has its place among an unclean people. And no man may be in the tent of meeting from the time when Aaron goes in to take away sin in the holy place till he comes out, having made himself and his house and all the people of Israel free from sin. And he is to go out to the altar which is before the Lord, and make it free from sin. And he is to take some of the blood of the ox and the blood of the goat, and put it on the horns of the altar and round it, shaking drops of the blood from his finger on it 7 times, to make it holy and clean from whatever is unclean among the children of Israel. And when he has done whatever is necessary to make the holy place and the tent of meeting and the altar free from sin, let him put the living goat before the Lord, and Aaron, placing his 2 hands on the head of the living goat, will make a public statement over him of all the evil doings of the children of Israel and all their wrongdoing, in all their sins, and he will put them on the head of the goat and send him away, in the care of a man who will be waiting there, into the wasteland. And the goat will take all their sins into a land cut off from men, and he will send the goat away into the wasteland. Then let Aaron come into the tent of meeting and take off the linen clothing which he put on when he went into the holy place, and put them down there, and after bathing his body in water in a holy place, he is to put on his clothing and come out and give his burnt offering and the burnt offering of the people, to take away his sin and the sin of the people. And the fat of the sin offering is to be burned by him on the altar. And the man who takes away the goat for Azazel is to have his clothing washed and his body bathed in water, and then he may come back to the tent circle. And the ox of the sin offering and the goat of the sin offering, whose blood was taken in to make the holy place free from sin, are to be taken away outside the tent circle, and their skins and their flesh and their waste are to be burned with fire. And the man by whom they are burned is to have his clothing washed and his body bathed in water, and then he may come back to the tent circle. And let this be an order to you forever: in the 7th month, on the 10th day, you are to keep yourselves from pleasure and do no sort of work, those who are Israelites by birth and those from other lands who are living among you, for on this day your sin will be taken away and you will be clean, you will be made free from all your sins before the Lord. It is a special Sabbath for you, and you are to keep yourselves from pleasure. It is in order forever. And the man on whose head the holy oil has been put, and who has been marked out to be a priest in his father's place, will do what is necessary to take away sin, and will put on the linen clothing, even the holy robes, and he will make the holy place and the tent of meeting and the altar free from sin. He will take away sin from the priests and from all the people. And let this be an order forever for you, so that the sin of the children of Israel may be taken away once every year. And he did as the Lord gave orders to Moses. Chapter 17. And the Lord said to Moses, Say to Aaron and to his sons and to all the children of Israel, This is the order which the Lord has given. If any man of Israel puts to death an ox or a lamb or a goat, in or outside the tent circle, and has not taken it to the door of the tent of meeting, to make an offering to the Lord, before the Lord's house, its blood will be on him, for he has taken life, and he will be cut off from among his people, so that the children of Israel may take to the Lord, to the door of the tent of meeting and to the priest, the offerings which they have put to death in the open country, and that they may make their peace offerings to the Lord. And the priest will put blood on the altar of the Lord at the door of the tent of meeting, burning the fat for a sweet smell to the Lord. and let them make no more offerings to evil spirits, after which they have gone, turning away from the Lord. Let this be a law to them forever, through all their generations. And say to them, if any man of Israel, or any other living among them, makes a burnt offering or other offering, and does not take it to the door of the tent of meeting to make an offering to the Lord, that man will be cut off from among his people. And if any man of Israel, or any other living among them, takes any sort of blood for food, my wrath will be turned against that man, and he will be cut off from among his people. For the life of the flesh is in its blood, and I have given it to you on the altar to take away your sin. For it is the blood which makes free from sin, because of the life in it. For this reason I have said to the children of Israel, no man among you, or any others living with you, may take blood as food. And any man of Israel, or any other living among them, who gets with his bow any beast or bird used for food, is to see that its blood is covered with earth. For the blood is the life of all flesh, and so I have said to the children of Israel, you may not take any sort of blood as food, and any man who does so will be cut off. And anyone who takes as food anything which has come to a natural end, or anything which has been put to death by beasts, if he is one of you by birth, or of another nation, will have to have his clothing washed and his body bathed in water and be unclean till evening, and then he will be clean. But if his clothing is not washed and his body bathed, his sin will be on him. Chapter 18. And the Lord said to Moses, say to the children of Israel, I am the Lord your God. You may not do those things which were done in the land of Egypt where you were living, and you may not do those things which are done in the land of Canaan where I am taking you, or be guided in your behavior by their rules. But you are to be guided by my decisions and keep my rules, and be guided by them. I am the Lord your God. So keep my rules and my decisions, which, if a man does them, will be life to him. I am the Lord. You may not have sex connection with anyone who is a near relation. I am the Lord. You may not have sex relations with your father or your mother. She is your mother. You may not take her. And you may not have sex relations with your father's wife. She is your father's. You may not take your sister, the daughter of your father or of your mother, wherever her birth took place, among you or in another country. You may not have sex relations with your son's daughter or your daughter's daughter, for they are part of yourself, or your father's wife's daughter, the child of your father, for she is your sister. You may not have sex connection with your father's sister, for she is your father's near relation. You may not have sex connection with your mother's sister, for she is your mother's near relation. You may not have sex relations with the wife of your father's brother, for she is of your family, or with your daughter-in-law, for she is your son's wife, and you may not take her. You may not have sex relations with your brother's wife, for she is your brother's. You may not take as wife a woman and her daughter, or her son's daughter or her daughter's daughter, for they are of one family. It is an act of shame. And you may not take as wife a woman and at the same time her sister, to be in competition with her in her lifetime. And you may not go near a woman or have sex relations with her when she is unclean, at her regular time. And you may not have sex relations with your neighbor's wife, making yourself unclean with her. And you may not make any of your children go through the fire as an offering to Moloch. And you may not put shame on the name of your God. I am the Lord. You may not have sex relations with men, as you do with women. It is a disgusting thing. And you may not have sex relations with a beast, making yourself unclean with it, and a woman may not give herself to a beast. It is an unnatural act. Do not make yourself unclean in any of these ways, for so have those nations whom I am driving out from before you made themselves unclean, and the land itself has become unclean, so that I have sent on it the reward of its wrongdoing, and the land itself puts out those who are living in it. So then keep my rules and my decisions, and do not do any of these disgusting things, those of you who are Israelites by birth, or any others who are living with you, for all these disgusting things were done by the men of this country who were there before you, and the land has been made unclean by them, so that the land may not put you out from it. when you make it unclean, as it put out the nations which were there before you. For all those who do any of these disgusting things will be cut off from among their people. So then, keep my orders, so that you may not do any of these disgusting things which were done before you, or make yourselves unclean through them. I am the Lord your God. Chapter 19. And the Lord said to Moses, Say to all the people of Israel, You are to be holy, for I, the Lord your God, am holy. Let every man give honor to his mother and to his father, and keep my Sabbaths. I am the Lord your God. Do not go after false gods, and do not make metal images of gods for yourselves. I am the Lord your God. And when you give a peace offering to the Lord, do it in the way which is pleasing to the Lord. Let it be used for food on the same day on which it is offered, or on the day after, and whatever is over on the third day is to be burned with fire. If any of it is used for food on the third day, it is a disgusting thing and will not be pleasing to the Lord. And as for anyone who takes it for food, his sin will be on him, for he has put shame on the holy thing of the Lord. He will be cut off from his people. And when you get in the grain from your land, do not let all the grain be cut from the edges of the field, or take up what has been dropped on the earth after the getting in of the grain. And do not take all the grapes from your vine garden, or the fruit dropped on the earth. Let the poor man, and the man from another country, have these. I am the Lord your God. Do not take anyone's property or be false in act or word to another. And do not take an oath in my name falsely, putting shame on the name of your God. I am the Lord. Do not be cruel to your neighbor or take what is his. Do not keep back a servant's payment from him all night till the morning. Do not put a curse on those who have no hearing, or put a cause of falling in the way of the blind, but keep the fear of your God before you. I am the Lord. Do no wrong in your judging. Do not give thought to the position of the poor, or honor to the position of the great, but be a judge to your neighbor in righteousness. Do not go about saying untrue things among your people, or take away the life of your neighbor by false witness. I am the Lord. Let there be no hate in your heart for your brother, but you may make a protest to your neighbor, so that he may be stopped from doing evil. Do not make attempts to get equal with one who has done you wrong, or keep hard feelings against the children of your people, but have love for your neighbor as for yourself. I am the Lord. Keep my laws. Do not let your cattle have offspring by those of a different sort. Do not put mixed seed into your field. Do not put on a robe made of two sorts of cloth. If any man has sex relations with a servant woman who has given her word to be married to a man, and has not been made free for a price or in any other way, the thing will be looked into, but they will not be put to death because she was not a free woman. Let him take his offering for wrongdoing to the Lord, to the door of the tent of meeting. Let him give a male sheep as an offering for wrongdoing. And the priest will take away his sin before the Lord with the sheep which is offered for his wrongdoing, and he will have forgiveness for the sin which he has done. And when you have come into the land, and have put in all sorts of fruit trees, their fruit will be as if they had not had circumcision, and for 3 years their fruit may not be used for food. And in the 4th year all the fruit will be holy as a praise offering to the Lord. But in the 5th year you may take the fruit and the increase of it for your food. I am the Lord your God. Nothing may be used for food with its blood in it. You may not make use of strange arts, or go in search of signs and wonders. The ends of the hair around your face and on your chin may not be cut off. You may not make cuts in your flesh in respect for the dead, or have marks printed on your bodies. I am the Lord. Do not make your daughter common by letting her become a loose woman, for fear that the land may become full of shame. Keep my Sabbaths and have respect for my holy place. I am the Lord. Do not go after those who make use of spirits, or wonder workers. Do not go in their ways or become unclean through them. I am the Lord your God. Get up from your seats before the white-haired, and give honor to the old, and let the fear of your God be before you. I am the Lord. And if a man from another country is living in your land with you, do not make life hard for him. Let him be to you as one of your countrymen and have love for him as for yourself. for you are living in a strange land, in the land of Egypt. I am the Lord your God. Do not make false decisions in questions of yardsticks and weights and measures. Have true scales, true weights and measures for all things. I am the Lord your God, who took you out of the land of Egypt. You are to keep all my rules and my decisions and do them. I am the Lord. Chapter 20. And the Lord said to Moses, again, say to the children of Israel, if any man of the children of Israel, or any other man living in Israel, gives his offspring to Moloch, he is certainly to be put to death. He is to be stoned by the people of the land, and my face will be turned against that man, and he will be cut off from his people, because he has given his offspring to Moloch, making my holy place unclean, and making my holy name common. And if the people of the land do not take note of that man when he gives his offspring to Moloch, and do not put him to death, then my face will be turned against him and his family, and he and all those who do evil with him will be cut off from among their people. And whoever goes after those who make use of spirits and wonder-workers, doing evil with them, against him will my face be turned, and he will be cut off from among his people. So make and keep yourselves holy, for I am the Lord your God. And keep my rules and do them. I am the Lord, who make you holy. Every man cursing his father or his mother is certainly to be put to death, because of his curse on his father or his mother. His blood will be on him. And if a man has sex relations with another man's wife, even the wife of his neighbor, he and she are certainly to be put to death. And the man who has sex relations with his father's wife has put shame on his father. The two of them are to be put to death. Their blood will be on them. And if a man has sex relations with his son's wife, the two of them are to be put to death. It is unnatural. Their blood will be on them. And if a man has sex relations with a man, the two of them have done a disgusting thing. Let them be put to death. Their blood will be on them. And if a man takes as wife a woman and her mother, it is an act of shame. Let them be burned with fire, all three of them, so that there may be no shame among you. And if a man has sex relations with a beast, let him be put to death, and let the beast be put to destruction. And if a woman goes near a beast and has sex relations with it, you will put an end to the woman and the beast. Their blood will be on them. And if a man takes his sister, daughter of his father or his mother, and has sex relations with her and she with him, it is an act of shame. They are to be cut off before the children of their people. He has had sex relations with his sister, and his sin will be on him. And if a man has sex relations with a woman at the time when she is unwell, he has seen her fountain and she has let the fountain of her blood be uncovered, and the two of them are to be cut off from among their people. And you may not have sex connection with your mother's sister or your father's sister, for they are his near relations. Their sin will be on them. And if a man has sex relations with the wife of his father's brother, he has put shame on his father's brother. Their sin will be on them. Till the day of their death they will have no children. And if a man takes his brother's wife, it is an unclean act. He has put shame on his brother. They will have no children. So then, keep my rules and my decisions and do them, so that the land which I am giving you as your resting place may not violently send you out again. And do not keep the rules of the nations which I am driving out before you, for they did all these things, and for that reason my soul was turned against them. But I have said to you, you will take their land and I will give it to you for your heritage, a land flowing with milk and honey. I am the Lord your God who have made you separate from all other peoples. So then, make division between the clean beast and the unclean, and between the clean bird and the unclean. Do not make yourselves disgusting by any beast or bird or anything which goes flat on the earth, which has been marked by me as unclean for you. And you are to be holy to me, for I the Lord am holy and have made you separate from the nations, so that you may be my people. Any man or woman who makes use of spirits, or who is a wonder-worker, is to be put to death. They are to be stoned with stones. Their blood will be on them. Chapter 21. And the Lord said to Moses, Say to the priests, the sons of Aaron, Let no man make himself unclean for the dead among his people, but only for his near relations, for his mother or his father, his son or his daughter, and his brother, and for his sister, a virgin, for she is his near relation and has had no husband. He may make himself unclean. But let him, being a chief among his people, not make himself unclean in such a way as to put shame on himself. They are not to have their hair cut off for the dead, or the hair on their chins cut short, or make cuts in their flesh. Let them be holy to their God and not make the name of their God common, for the fire offerings of the Lord and the bread of their God are offered by them, and they are to be holy. They may not take as wife a loose or common woman, or one who has been put away by her husband, for the priest is holy to his God. And he is to be holy in your eyes, for by him the bread of your God is offered. He is to be holy in your eyes, for I the Lord, who make you holy, am holy. And if the daughter of a priest makes herself common and by her loose behavior puts shame on her father, let her be burned with fire. And he who is the chief priest among his brothers, on whose head the holy oil has been put, who is marked out to put on the holy robes, may not let his hair go loose or have his clothing out of order as a sign of sorrow. He may not go near any dead body or make himself unclean for his father or his mother. He may not go out to the holy place or make the holy place of his God common, for the crown of the holy oil of his God is on him. I am the Lord. And let him take as his wife one who has not had relations with a man, a widow, or one whose husband has put her away, or a common woman of loose behavior, may not be the wife of a priest, but let him take a virgin from among his people. And he may not make his seed unclean among his people, for I the Lord have made him holy. And the Lord said to Moses, Say to Aaron, If a man of your family, in any generation, is damaged in body, let him not come near to make the offering of the bread of his God. For any man whose body is damaged may not come near, one who is blind, or has not the use of his legs, or one who has a broken nose or any unnatural growth, or a man with broken feet or hands, or one whose back is bent, or one who is unnaturally small, or one who has a damaged eye, or whose skin is diseased, or whose sex parts are damaged. No man of the offspring of Aaron whose body is damaged in any way may come near to give the fire offerings of the Lord. He is damaged. He may not come near to make the offerings. He may take of the bread of God, the holy and the most holy, but he may not go inside the veil or come near the altar, because he is damaged, and he may not make my holy places common, for I the Lord have made them holy. These are the words which Moses said to Aaron and to his sons and to all the children of Israel. Chapter 22. And the Lord said to Moses, Give orders to Aaron and to his sons to keep themselves separate from the holy things of the children of Israel which they give to me, and not to make my holy name common. I am the Lord. Say to them, If any man of all your seed through all your generations, being unclean, comes near the holy things which the children of Israel make holy to the Lord, he will be cut off from before me. I am the Lord. No man of the seed of Aaron who is a leper, or who has a flow from his body, may take of the holy food till he is clean. And any man touching anything which is unclean because of the dead, or any man whose seed goes from him, or anyone touching any unclean thing which goes flat on the earth, or someone by whom he may be made unclean in any way whatever, any person touching any such unclean thing will be unclean till evening, and may not take of the holy food till his flesh has been bathed in water, and when the sun has gone down he will be clean, and after that he may take part in the holy food, because it is his bread. That which comes to a natural death, or is attacked by beasts, he may not take as food, for it will make him unclean. I am the Lord. So then, let them keep what I have put into their care, for fear that sin may come on them because of it, so causing their death because they have made it common. I am the Lord, who make them holy. No outside person may take of the holy food, or one living as a guest in the priest's house, or a servant working for payment. But any person for whom the priest has given money, to make him his, may take of it with him, and those who come to birth in his house may take of his bread. And if the daughter of a priest is married to an outside person, she may not take of the holy things which are lifted up as offerings. But if a priest's daughter is a widow, or parted from her husband, and has no child, and has come back to her father's house as when she was a girl, she may take of her father's bread, but no outside person may do so. And if a man takes the holy food in error, he will have to give the holy thing back to the priest, with the addition of a fifth part. And they may not make common the holy things which the children of Israel give to the Lord, so causing sin to come on them when they take their holy things for food. I am the Lord who make them holy. And the Lord said to Moses, Say to Aaron and to his sons and to all the children of Israel, if any man of the children of Israel, or of another nation living in Israel, makes an offering, given because of an oath or freely given to the Lord for a burnt offering, so that it may be pleasing to the Lord, let him give male, without any mark, from among the oxen or the sheep or the goats. But anything which has a mark you may not give. It will not make you pleasing to the Lord. And whoever makes a peace offering to the Lord, in payment of an oath or as a free offering, from the herd or the flock, if it is to be pleasing to the Lord, let it be free from any mark or damage. Anything blind or broken or damaged or having any disease or any mark on it may not be offered to the Lord. You may not make an offering of it by fire on the altar to the Lord. An ox or a lamb which has more or less than its natural parts, may be given as a free offering, but it will not be taken in payment of an oath. An animal which has its sex parts damaged or crushed or broken or cut, may not be offered to the Lord. Such a thing may not be done anywhere in your land. And from one who is not an Israelite you may not take any of these for an offering to the Lord, for they are unclean, there is a mark on them, and the Lord will not be pleased with them. And the Lord said to Moses, When an ox or a sheep or a goat has given birth, let it be with its mother for 7 days, and after the 8th day it may be taken as an offering made by fire to the Lord. A cow or a sheep may not be put to death with its young on the same day. And when you make an offering of praise to the Lord, make it in a way which is pleasing to him. Let it be used for food on the same day. Do not keep any part of it till the morning. I am the Lord. So then, keep my orders and do them. I am the Lord. And do not make my holy name common, so that it may be kept holy by the children of Israel. I am the Lord who make you holy, who took you out of the land of Egypt that I might be your God. I am the Lord. Chapter 23. And the Lord said to Moses, Say to the children of Israel, These are the fixed feasts of the Lord, which you will keep for holy meetings. These are my feasts. On 6 days work may be done, but the 7th day is a special day of rest, a time for worship. You may do no sort of work. It is a Sabbath to the Lord wherever you may be living. These are the fixed feasts of the Lord, the holy days of worship which you will keep at their regular times. In the 1st month, on the 14th day of the month at nightfall, is the Lord's Passover, and on the 15th day of the same month is the Feast of Unleavened Bread. For 7 days let your food be unleavened bread. On the 1st day you will have a holy meeting. You may do no sort of field work. And every day for 7 days you will give a burnt offering to the Lord, and on the 7th day there will be a holy meeting. You may do no field work. And the Lord said to Moses, Say to the children of Israel, When you have come to the land which I will give you, and have got in the grain from its fields, take some of the firstfruits of the grain to the priest, and let the grain be waved before the Lord, so that you may be pleasing to him. On the day after the Sabbath let it be waved by the priest. And on the day of the waving of the grain, you are to give a male lamb of the first year, without any mark, for a burnt offering to the Lord. And let the meal offering with it be 2/10 parts of an ephah of the best meal mixed with oil, an offering made by fire to the Lord for a sweet smell, and the drink offering with it is to be of wine, the 4th part of a hin. And you may take no bread or dry grain or new grain for food till the very day on which you have given the offering for your God. This is a rule forever through all your generations wherever you are living. And let 7 full weeks be numbered from the day after the Sabbath, the day when you give the grain for the wave offering. Let 50 days be numbered to the day after the 7th Sabbath, then you are to give a new meal offering to the Lord. Take from your houses 2 cakes of bread, made of a 1/5 part of an ephah of the best meal, cooked with leaven, to be waved for first fruits to the Lord. And with the bread, take 7 lambs of the first year, without any marks, and 1 ox and 2 male sheep, to be a burnt offering to the Lord, with their meal offering and their drink offerings, an offering of a sweet smell made by fire to the Lord. And you are to give 1 male goat for a sin offering and 2 male lambs of the first year for peace offerings, and these will be waved by the priest, with the bread of the firstfruits, for a wave offering to the Lord, with the 2 lambs. They will be holy to the Lord for the priest. And on the same day, let it be given out that there will be a holy meeting for you. You may do no field work on that day. It is a rule forever through all your generations wherever you are living. And when you get in the grain from your land, do not let all the grain at the edges of the field be cut, and do not take up the grain which has been dropped in the field. Let that be for the poor, and for the man from another country. I am the Lord your God. And the Lord said to Moses, Say to the children of Israel, in the 7th month, on the 1st day of the month, let there be a special day of rest for you, a day of memory, marked by the blowing of horns, a meeting for worship. Do no field work and give to the Lord an offering made by fire. And the Lord said to Moses, The 10th day of this 7th month is the day for the taking away of sin. Let it be a holy day of worship. You are to keep from pleasure, and give to the Lord an offering made by fire. And on that day you may do no sort of work, for it is a day of taking away sin, to make you clean before the Lord your God. For any person, whoever he may be, who takes his pleasure on that day will be cut off from his people. And if any person, whoever he may be, on that day does any sort of work, I will send destruction on him from among his people. You may not do any sort of work. This is an order forever through all your generations wherever you may be living. Let this be a Sabbath of special rest to you, and keep yourselves from all pleasure. On the 9th day of the month at nightfall from evening to evening, let this Sabbath be kept. And the Lord said to Moses, Say to the children of Israel, On the 15th day of this 7th month let the Feast of Tents be kept to the Lord for 7 days. On the first day there will be a holy meeting. Do no field work. Every day for 7 days give an offering made by fire to the Lord, and on the 8th day there is to be a holy meeting, when you are to give an offering made by fire to the Lord. This is a special holy day. You may do no field work on that day. These are the fixed feasts of the Lord, to be kept by you as holy days of worship, for making an offering by fire to the Lord, a burnt offering, a meal offering, an offering of beasts, and drink offerings, every one on its special day, in addition to the Sabbaths of the Lord, and in addition to the things you give and the oaths you make and the free offerings to the Lord. But on the 15th day of the 7th month, when you have got in all the fruits of the land, you will keep the feast of the Lord for 7 days. The first day will be a Sabbath, and the 8th day the same. On the first day, take the fruit of fair trees, branches of palm trees, and branches of thick trees and trees from the riverside, and be glad before the Lord for 7 days. And let this feast be kept before the Lord for 7 days in the year. It is a rule forever from generation to generation. In the 7th month let it be kept. For 7 days you will be living in tents. All those who are Israelites by birth are to make tents their living places, so that future generations may keep in mind how I gave the children of Israel tents as their living places when I took them out of the land of Egypt. I am the Lord your God. And Moses made clear to the children of Israel the orders about the fixed feasts of the Lord. Chapter 24. And the Lord said to Moses, Give orders to the children of Israel to give you clean olive oil for the light, so that a light may be burning at all times. Outside the veil of the ark in the tent of meeting, let Aaron see that it is burning from evening till morning at all times before the Lord. It is a rule forever through all your generations. Let Aaron put the lights in order on the support before the Lord at all times. And take the best meal and make 12 cakes of it, a fifth part of an ephah in every cake, and put them in 2 lines, 6 in a line, on the holy table before the Lord. And on the lines of cakes put clean sweet-smelling spices, for a sign on the bread, an offering made by fire to the Lord. Every Sabbath day regularly, the priest is to put it in order before the Lord. It is offered for the children of Israel, an agreement made forever. And it will be for Aaron and his sons. They are to take it for food in a holy place. It is the most holy of all the offerings made by fire to the Lord, a rule forever. And a son of an Israelite woman, whose father was an Egyptian, went out among the children of Israel and had a fight with a man of Israel by the tents. And the son of the Israelite woman said evil against the holy name, with curses. And they took him to Moses. His mother's name was Shelomith, the daughter of Dibri, of the tribe of Dan. And they kept him shut up, till a decision might be given by the mouth of the Lord. And the Lord said to Moses, Take the cursor outside the tent circle, and let all in whose hearing the words were said put their hands on his head, and let him be stoned by all the people. And say to the children of Israel, As for any man cursing God, his sin will be on his head. And he who says evil against the name of the Lord will certainly be put to death. He will be stoned by all the people, the man who is not of your nation and one who is an Israelite by birth. Whoever says evil against the holy name is to be put to death, and anyone who takes another's life is certainly to be put to death. And anyone wounding a beast and causing its death, will have to make payment for it, a life for a life. And if a man does damage to his neighbor, as he has done, so let it be done to him, wound for wound, eye for eye, tooth for tooth. Whatever damage he has done, so let it be done to him. He who puts a beast to death will have to make payment for it. He who puts a man to death will himself be put to death. You are to have the same law for a man of another nation living among you as for an Israelite, for I am the Lord your God. And Moses said these words to the children of Israel, and they took the man who had been cursing outside the tent circle and had him stoned. The children of Israel did as the Lord gave orders to Moses. Chapter 25. And the Lord said to Moses on Mount Sinai, Say to the children of Israel, When you come into the land which I will give you, let the land keep a Sabbath to the Lord. For 6 years put seed into your land, and for 6 years give care to your vines and get in the produce of them, but let the 7th year be a Sabbath of rest for the land, a Sabbath to the Lord. Do not put seed into your land or have your vines cut. That which comes to growth of itself may not be cut, and the grapes of your uncared for vines may not be taken off. Let it be a year of rest for the land, and the Sabbath of the land will give food for you and your manservant and your womanservant and those working for payment, and for those of another country who are living among you, and for your cattle and the beasts on the land. All the natural increase of the land will be for food. And let 7 Sabbaths of years be numbered to you, 7 times 7 years, even the days of 7 Sabbaths of years, that is 49 years. Then let the loud horn be sounded far and wide on the 10th day of the 7th month. On the day of taking away sin let the horn be sounded through all your land. And let this 50th year be kept holy, and say publicly that everyone in the land is free from debt. It is the Jubilee, and every man may go back to his heritage and to his family. Let this 50th year be the Jubilee, no seed may be planted, and that which comes to growth of itself may not be cut, and the grapes may not be taken from the uncared for vines. For it is the Jubilee, and it is holy to you. Your food will be the natural increase of the field. In this year of Jubilee, let every man go back to his heritage. And in the business of trading goods for money, do no wrong to one another. Let your exchange of goods with your neighbors have relation to the number of years after the year of Jubilee, and the number of times the earth has given her produce. If the number of years is great, the price will be increased, and if the number of years is small, the price will be less, for it is the produce of a certain number of years which the man is giving you. And do no wrong, one to another, but let the fear of your God be before you, for I am the Lord your God. So keep my rules and my decisions and do them, and you will be safe in your land. And the land will give her fruit, and you will have food in full measure and be safe in the land. And if you say, where will our food come from in the 7th year, when we may not put in seed, or get any increase, then I will send my blessing on you in the 6th year, and the land will give fruit enough for 3 years. And in the 8th year you will put in your seed, and get your food from the old stores, till the fruit of the 9th year is ready. No exchange of land may be forever, for the land is mine, and you are as my guests, living with me for a time. Wherever there is property and land, the owner is to have the right of getting it back. If your brother becomes poor, and has to give up some of his land for money, his nearest relation may come and get back that which his brother has given up. And if he has no one to get it back for him, and later he himself gets wealth and has enough money to get it back, then let him take into account the years from the time when he gave it up, and make up the loss for the rest of the years to him who took it, and so get back his property. But if he is not able to get it back for himself, then it will be kept by him who gave a price for it, till the year of Jubilee, and in that year it will go back to its first owner and he will have his property again. And if a man gives his house in a walled town for money, he has the right to get it back for the space of a full year after he has given it up. And if he does not get it back by the end of the year, then the house in the town will become the property of him who gave the money for it, and of his children forever. It will not go from him in the year of Jubilee. But houses in small unwalled towns will be the same as property in the country. They may be got back, and they will go back to their owners in the year of Jubilee. But the houses in the towns of the Levites may be got back by the Levites at any time. And if a Levite does not give money to get back his property, his house in the town which was exchanged for money will come back to him in the year of Jubilee. For the houses of the towns of the Levites are their property among the children of Israel. But the land on the outskirts of their towns may not be exchanged for money, for it is their property forever. And if your brother becomes poor and is not able to make a living, then you are to keep him with you, helping him as you would a man from another country who is living among you. Take no interest from him, in money or in goods, but have the fear of your God before you, and let your brother make a living among you. Do not take interest on the money which you let him have or on the food which you give him. I am the Lord your God, who took you out of the land of Egypt to give you the land of Canaan, that I might be your God. And if your brother becomes poor and gives himself to you for money, do not make use of him like a servant who is your property, but let him be with you as a servant working for payment, till the year of Jubilee. Then he will go out from you, he and his children with him, and go back to his family and to the property of his fathers. For they are my servants whom I took out from the land of Egypt. They may not become the property of another. Do not be a hard master to him, but have the fear of God before you. But you may get servants as property from among the nations round about. From them you may take men servants and women servants. And in addition, you may get, for money, servants from among the children of other nations who are living with you, and from their families which have come to birth in your land. And these will be your property, and they will be your children's heritage after you, to keep as their property. They will be your servants forever. But you may not be hard masters to your countrymen, the children of Israel. And if one from another nation living among you gets wealth, and your countryman, at his side, becomes poor and gives himself for money to the man from another nation or to one of his family, after he has given himself, he has the right to be made free, for a price, by one of his brothers, or his father's brother, or the son of his father's brother, or any near relation. Or if he gets money, he may make himself free, and let the years be numbered from the time when he gave himself to his owner till the year of Jubilee, and the price given for him will be in relation to the number of years, on the scale of the payment of a servant. If there is still a long time, he will give back, on account of it, a part of the price which was given for him. And if there is only a short time, he will take account of it with his master, and in relation to the number of years he will give back the price of making him free, and he will be with him as a servant working for payment year by year. His master is not to be cruel to him before your eyes. And if he is not made free in this way, he will go out in the year of Jubilee, he and his children with him. For the children of Israel are servants to me, they are my servants whom I took out of the land of Egypt. I am the Lord your God. Chapter 26. Do not make images of false gods, or put up an image cut in stone or a pillar or any pictured stone in your land, to give worship to it, for I am the Lord your God. Keep my Sabbaths and give honor to my holy place, I am the Lord. If you are guided by my rules, and keep my laws and do them, then I will give you rain at the right time, and the land will give her increase, and the trees of the field will give their fruit, and the crushing of the grain will overtake the cutting of the grapes, and the cutting of the grapes will overtake the planting of the seed, and there will be bread in full measure, and you will be living in your land safely. And I will give you peace in the land, and you will take your rest, and no one will give you cause for fear. And I will put an end to all evil beasts in the land, and no sword of war will go through your land. And you will put to flight those who are against you, and they will be put to death by your swords. Then 5 of you will put to flight 100, and 100 of you will put to flight 10,000, and all who are against you will be put to death by your swords. And I will have pleasure in you and make you fertile and greater in number, and I will keep my agreement with you. And old stores long kept will be your food, and you will take out the old because of the new. And I will put my holy house among you, and my soul will not be turned away from you in disgust. And I will be present among you and will be your God, and you will be my people. I am the Lord your God, who took you out of the land of Egypt so that you might not be servants to them. By me the cords of your yoke were broken, and I made you go upright. But if you do not give ear to me, and do not keep all these my laws, and if you go against my rules, and if you have hate in your souls for my decisions, and you do not do all my orders, but go against my agreement, this will I do to you. I will put fear in your hearts, even wasting disease and burning pain, drying up the eyes and making the soul feeble, and you will get no profit from your seed, for your haters will take it for food. And my face will be turned from you, and you will be broken before those who are against you. And your haters will become your rulers, and you will go in flight when no man comes after you. And if, even after these things, you will not give ear to me, then I will send you punishment 7 times more for your sins. And the pride of your strength will be broken. And I will make your heaven as iron and your earth as brass, and your strength will be used up without profit. For your land will not give her increase, and the trees of the field will not give their fruit. And if you still go against me and will not give ear to me, I will put 7 times more punishments on you because of your sins. I will let loose the beasts of the field among you, and they will take away your children and send destruction on your cattle, so that your numbers will become small and your roads become waste. And if by these things you will not be turned to me, but still go against me, then I will go against you, and I will give you punishment, I myself, 7 times for all your sins. And I will send a sword on you to give effect to the punishment of my agreement. And when you come together into your towns, I will send disease among you, and you will be given up into the hands of your haters. When I take away your bread of life, 10 women will be cooking bread in one oven, and your bread will be measured out by weight. You will have food but never enough. And if, after all this, you do not give ear to me, but go against me still, then my wrath will be burning against you, and I will give you punishment, I myself, 7 times for your sins. Then you will take the flesh of your sons and the flesh of your daughters for food, and I will send destruction on your high places, overturning your perfume altars, and will put your dead bodies on your broken images, and my soul will be turned from you in disgust. And I will make your towns waste and send destruction on your holy places. I will take no pleasure in the smell of your sweet perfumes. And I will make your land a waste, a wonder to your haters living in it. And I will send you out in all directions among the nations, and my sword will be uncovered against you, and your land will be without any living thing, and your towns will be made waste. Then will the land take pleasure in its Sabbaths while it is waste and you are living in the land of your haters. Then will the land have rest. All the days while it is waste will the land have rest, such rest as it never had in your Sabbaths, when you were living in it. And as for the rest of you, I will make their hearts feeble in the land of their haters, and the sound of a leaf moved by the wind will send them in flight. And they will go in flight as from the sword, falling down when no one comes after them, falling on one another, as before the sword, when no one comes after them. You will give way before your haters, and death will overtake you among strange nations, and the land of your haters will be your destruction. And those of you who are still living will be wasting away in their sins in the land of your haters. In the sins of their fathers they will be wasting away. And they will have grief for their sins and for the sins of their fathers, when their hearts were untrue to me, and they went against me, so that I went against them and sent them away into the land of their haters. If then the pride of their hearts is broken and they take the punishment of their sins, then I will keep in mind the agreement which I made with Jacob and with Isaac and with Abraham, and I will keep in mind the land. And the land, while she is without them, will keep her Sabbaths, and they will undergo the punishment of their sins, because they were turned away from my decisions and in their souls was hate for my laws. But for all that, when they are in the land of their haters I will not let them go, or be turned away from them, or give them up completely. My agreement with them will not be broken, for I am the Lord their God. And because of them I will keep in mind the agreement which I made with their fathers, whom I took out of the land of Egypt before the eyes of the nations, to be their God. I am the Lord. These are the rules, decisions, and laws, which the Lord made between himself and the children of Israel in Mount Sinai, by the hand of Moses. Chapter 27. And the Lord said to Moses, Say to the children of Israel, if a man makes a special oath, you will give your decision as to the value of the persons for the Lord. And you will put the value of a male from 20 years to 60 years old at 50 shekels of silver, by the scale of the holy place. And if it is a female, the value will be 30 shekels. And if the person is from 5 to 20 years old, the value will be 20 shekels for a male, and 10 for a female. And if the person is from 1 month to 5 years old, then the value for a male will be 5 shekels of silver, and for a female 3 shekels. And for 60 years old and over, for a male the value will be 15 shekels, and for a female, 10. But if he is poorer than the value which you have put on him, then let him be taken to the priest, and the priest will put a value on him, such as it is possible for him to give. And if it is a beast of which men make offerings to the Lord, whatever any man gives of such to the Lord will be holy. It may not be changed in any way, a good given for a bad, or a bad for a good. If one beast is changed for another, the two will be holy. And if it is any unclean beast, of which offerings are not made to the Lord, then let him take the beast before the priest, and let the priest put a value on it. If it is good or bad, whatever value the priest puts on it, so will it be. But if he has a desire to get it back for himself, let him give a fifth more than your value. And if a man has given his house as holy to the Lord, then the priest will put a value on it. If it is good or bad, as the priest gives decision, so will the value be fixed. And if the owner has a desire to get back his house, let him give a fifth more than your value, and it will be his. And if a man gives to the Lord part of the field which is his property, then let your value be in relation to the seed which is planted in it. A measure of barley grain will be valued at 50 shekels of silver. If he gives his field from the year of Jubilee, the value will be fixed by your decision. But if he gives his field after the year of Jubilee, the amount of the money will be worked out by the priest in relation to the number of years till the coming year of Jubilee, and the necessary amount will be taken off your value. And if the man who has given the field has a desire to get it back, let him give a fifth more than the price at which it was valued, and it will be his. But if he has no desire to get it back, or if he has given it for a price to another man, it may not be got back again. But the field, when it becomes free at the year of Jubilee, will be holy to the Lord, as a field given under oath. It will be the property of the priest. And if a man gives to the Lord a field which he has got for money from another, which is not part of his heritage, then the value fixed by you up to the year of Jubilee will be worked out for him by the priest, and in that day he will give the amount of your value as holy to the Lord. In the year of Jubilee the field will go back to him from whom he got it, that is, to him whose heritage it was. And let all your values be based on the shekel of the holy place, that is, 20 gerahs to the shekel. But a man may not give by oath to the Lord the firstfruits of cattle which are offered to the Lord. If it is an ox or a sheep it is the Lord's. And if it is an unclean beast, then the owner of it may give money to get it back, in agreement with the value fixed by you, by giving a fifth more. Or if it is not taken back, let it be given for money in agreement with your valuing. But nothing which a man has given completely to the Lord, out of all his property, of man or beast, or of the land which is his heritage, may be given away or got back in exchange for money. Anything completely given is most holy to the Lord. Any man given completely to the Lord may not be got back. He is certainly to be put to death. And every 10th part of the land, of the seed planted, or of the fruit of trees, is holy to the Lord. And if a man has a desire to get back any of the 10th part which he has given, let him give a fifth more. And a 10th part of the herd and of the flock, whatever goes under the rod of the valuer, will be holy to the Lord. He may not make search to see if it is good or bad, or make any changes in it. And if he makes exchange of it for another, the two will be holy, he will not get them back again. These are the orders which the Lord gave to Moses for the children of Israel in Mount Sinai.